Dorothy Pena, and I work for Indigenous Peoples of the Coastal Bend as educational outreach. In 2016, I started planting a bunch of trees. I think I had about 35 trees in the backyard I was living in at the time. And I told Melissa, who is my best friend, I need somewhere to put these trees.
We stepped up and contacted Parks and Rec with the city and asked if we could adopt one of the spaces instead of it being sold off.
Melissa did a lot of the legwork, pretty much all of the bureaucratic paperwork, by also linking up with For the Greater Good to adopt this space. To me, this space is, in a way, us reclaiming space. We wanted this space not only to have trees growing, but to be a center or a hub of community.
This was like a dream come true for some of us to take part in not only a community garden, but like a community park. A lot of us just kind of really understanding what we're working with as far as growing food in this soil and being so close to industry. Knowing other organizations and people, communities like the Hillcrest community, like the North and West Side communities of Corpus.
The industrial expansion doesn't only affect the Karakwa-Kadla or the indigenous community, it affects predominantly Black and Brown communities. They've suffered a lot of the brunt of environmental injustices. West Side communities, brown folk are experiencing a lot of that same pollution and exposure to pollutants.
This is the cemetery, as you can see, preserved. I would say because of the historical society. They come in and they do some things. Nice cemetery. Just think about this. Right across the street is Coles High School, right? Simon Coles High School. You're right here in this census tract 4 is basically where African Americans could only live in this particular area. And then in the 60s, they allowed African Americans to live over in Hillcrest. The history of African Americans are over here, and you wouldn't even know that they were here at the rate that they're building the bridges and trying to put a desalinization over here, trying to make this industrialized.
Like I said, it just used to be children, parents, grandparents, everyone used to just be at the park. And now it's empty, even on weekdays. Why? Because we don't have Hillcrest the way it was. We don't have the people here, living still here. The home, 2 homes behind us, that was a home of a teacher. And the port now owns that property. My name is Mona Lytle. I'm a resident of Hillcrest, and I'm a member of HRA, and I'm the treasurer of HRA. Look around. I feel as though everywhere we go, the air is contaminated.
We've been fighting with the refineries forever for emissions that they release in the air, and we try to protect the neighbors and let them know what's going on. Several people decided to move out because they said the soil was contaminated and they didn't want to raise their children in an area that was contaminated.
Our concern with the soil is, in times of today, when you go to the grocery store, prices are high. We want to be able to grow our own. But when we grow our own, we want to make sure that we're not putting any more toxic than we get from the air.
At my house, I grow oranges, grapefruits, and stuff like that. I'm just really concerned about the soil. We need the scientists to come in and take samples of the ground and let us know exactly what's in them. And if it can just harm us just by working in the yard. I was told that people were breaking out with rashes, hair loss, and stuff like that from just, doing normal gardening. I would want someone to come in, a scientist to come in and let me know if there is something that can hurt me or hurt my grandchildren to come.
I'm Kelly Sanks, and I am the Community Science Fellow with the Thriving Earth Exchange for this project. I am in charge of looking for and finding a community scientist for the project. So I kind of just looked around at soil scientists in Texas, and Matt was one of the ones that responded to me, and we got in touch with him. The community met him. Everyone really had a good feeling about him and really liked him and thought he was very sincere and would be really helpful. And he agreed to help us out with the project.
My name is Matt Siebecker, and I'm an assistant professor of environmental soil chemistry at Texas Tech University. So I got involved in soil sampling in this project through collaboration with AGU. They reached out to me after doing quite an extensive search, and when they described what they were looking for, I thought this would be a really important event for me to participate in. And so I decided to help with the project to analyze the soils for different heavy metals. Put the site name, 0 to 2 inches, and the date. From the center part, we want to get four sub-samples. So we take probably one large step out from here, and the way that you do use this soil probe is you just step down on it so that it goes all the way down. Give it a little twist, and you can pull it up out of the soil. And we're going to do four of these sub-samples. So we'll take this guy. This would be our top 2 inches here. And this would be our bottom 8 inches that we'd want to grab. And then we continue like that basically throughout the whole field. And we ended up taking about 100 samples over 4 different sites, separated out into top 2 inches, bottom 6 to 8 inches. So we had about 200 samples. But essentially, these would be the samples that we would get from each of the sites. Part of our action items is to take this information, put it into the report, share it with the community, and also what actions do we need to take, and is there a risk?
Growing local food is extremely important for community resiliency. You can't always trust those huge supply chains of food from a grocery store that's delivered from hundreds of miles away. My name is Jessica Politza, and I'm the farm associate at Tierra Mini Farm. For me, it's really about community resiliency. We want to sustain all of the people here and keep them healthy and eating produce that they knew where it grew and that it is as nutritionally dense as possible. The soil sampling is super important for our farm because we've been growing here for many years now, and we really wanted to know how we've been impacting the soil and how we could treat it better. That, in addition to the industries that are just a few miles away, a lot of them burn petrochemicals, and so we tested for PAHs to see if any of those deposited into the soil.
You have the refineries a little bit away, but they still, when the air is blowing, and we were concerned that we'll get polluted as well. To find out what the soil's all about and how the soil plays a role in agriculture, and it's a big deal. Regenerative agriculture is the catchword these days, and the whole idea is, of course, starts with the soil, ends with the soil as far as agriculture is concerned.
We're here at Keepers of the Garden. We are a community urban garden. We focus mainly on education. We also host workshops that have to do with culinary arts, survival skills, planting 101, composting, the list goes on.
So the partnership with Matt was really cool. They came out and they taught us how to do the soil sampling. I have no science background whatsoever. I'm a classroom teacher by trade. So it was really interesting to see the science in action. They were super easy to work with. We were able to get most of our work done, in a single morning. And then being able to have that data and access to that data, we would never have been able to achieve any of that. We wouldn't have had anywhere to go for that information. So to have them be able to bring that in and provide that to us was really, really cool. And then, like I said, seeing the process was just super fun and geeky. So our results were mostly positive. They did have a few places that showed some, some of the heavy metals that were a little bit more concerning. Luckily for us, most of those didn't occur within the space where we're growing anything edible. It tended to be more in the outside of the space beyond the fence where we have more just native plants, pollinator type plants. But it did give us the awareness that like we really need to pay attention. Not so much that we're worried about the things being absorbed into the foods, but more that we have our hands in that dirt and what's in that dirt that we could then pick up. But with having that knowledge, now we know we really don't want kids in this area, or we really want to plant things here that are going to grow for many years that won't need a lot of care. And so we've been able to kind of tailor to that information.
We're still working on the report. It's a lot of data to sift through. The heavy metals were really low, all within a few dozen parts per 1,000.
With respect to the results, we did heavy metal analysis at 4 different sites, and we found very encouraging results. For the most part, in most of the parks, heavy metals were at what we would call normal background concentrations. So overall, our results have been very encouraging, but we still have some details to work through.
We know that this space, even with its industrial history, even with being right next to the refineries down on Refinery Row, even with being an older part of Corpus, the earth has healed itself, and we have made a place where things can grow and be productive, and we can use this space for that.
It helps to know that we have the resources to be able to know if we are in a danger zone. And so I feel like now that we have more of experience in using the technical terms and the tools that we need to get results, we can start to help the community test their soils, test their yards, test their parks.
This is the one to me that's had the most social and community impact, and it's been one of the most fulfilling projects that I've ever worked on.
It's been great to get all of this, but it's kind of started a passion for wanting to know more about what's in our soil.
I'm looking forward to all the organizations to come to us and tell us the truth. What's their plans? They have a plan to come to us, give us the respect that we deserve.
The best thing that we can do as communities is to try and get the truth, is to try to dispel untruths. And science gives us the opportunity to really get to the root of issues, to get data, because the data isn't going to lie to us.